You won't believe it, but the sea eater, with its enormous mouth, can devour almost anything you can imagine. This strange and mysterious monster dwells in the depths of the ocean, constantly hunting for food. With its insatiable hunger, it roams the dark waters, ready to swallow whatever crosses its path, whether it's small sea creatures or massive beasts. Unlike any sea creature you've ever seen, Julia Beast has two massive arms right next to its mouth, and guess what? These arms are covered in razor-sharp teeth. In battle, these deadly arms become powerful weapons, allowing Julia Beast to tear apart its enemies with ease. Never underestimate this monstrous predator. It can overpower foes twice its size without breaking a sweat. What makes Julia Beast even more fascinating is that it is, in fact, a robotic replica of the infamous Gran Maja. Designed to dominate the ocean, this mechanical beast can swim at terrifying speeds and hold its own against larger and stronger sea monsters. Its advanced design makes it nearly unstoppable in combat, striking fear into anything that dares challenge it. But hold on, you haven't heard the scariest part yet. Even Bloop, the legendary sea monster, has a robotic counterpart, and it's far more terrifying than the original. This mechanical version, known as Electric Bloop, possesses unmatched power. With its electrifying abilities, it can paralyze and destroy anything in its path, making it one of the deadliest beings in the ocean. Speaking of Bloop, the original creature is already a sight to behold. Towering in size, Bloop has a massive mouth capable of swallowing entire schools of fish in a single gulp. It lurks in the deep, waiting silently before striking with devastating force. And then there's Ningen, a humanoid sea monster with terrifying strength. Its powerful arms can capture and imprison any monster it desires. With human-like intelligence, Ningen is a cunning predator that uses strategy and precision in battle, making it a nightmare for any opponent. Gran Maja, with its 6 glowing eyes, is another force to be reckoned with. Its multiple eyes granted a superior edge in combat, allowing it to track and strike enemies from any angle. With sharp teeth and relentless aggression, this monster shows no mercy. But the most terrifying of them all is Dark Bloop, a monstrous, darker, and far more dangerous version of the original Bloop. This upgraded creature is massive, incredibly powerful, and has no mercy. Its hunger knows no bounds, and while it prefers smaller prey, it won't hesitate to take on larger sea beasts if given the chance. In conclusion, the depths of the ocean hold terrifying and mysterious creatures that defy imagination, from the monstrous sea eater with its enormous mold-consuming mouth to the robotic and ruthless Julia Beast. These beings dominate the dark waters with unmatched power. The fact that Julia Beast is a mechanical replica of the infamous Gran Maja makes it even more terrifying, as it possesses enhanced strength and combat abilities. But the horror doesn't stop there. The robotic Electric Bloop takes the legendary sea monster to a whole new level of terror, equipped with electric powers that can paralyze and destroy its enemies. Even the original Bloop itself, with its massive size and ability to swallow entire schools of fish, is a force of nature that no sea creature can escape. Meanwhile, the humanoid Ningen strikes fear with its immense strength and intelligence, making it a strategic and deadly predator. And finally, the dog Bloop stands as the ultimate nightmare, a larger, stronger, and more merciless version of the original Bloop. Capable of taking on even larger sea monsters, these terrifying sea creatures remind us that the ocean's depths remain a place of unfathomable danger and mystery, where monstrous beings lurk, waiting to strike. Gran Maja was severely injured in this battle. In his fight against the dark worm sea monster, Gran Maja was really scared. This monster, despite its enormous size, also had incredible speed in battle. But the worm sea monster should never be underestimated. I'm sure you don't know that this creature, with its large circular mouth, is extremely powerful. It told Gran Maja, "I will eat you." But Gran Maja didn't care and became furious. This monster with its 6 eyes carefully watches its surroundings and notices every detail. The dark worm monster has no arms or legs, and because of its light weight, it moves at an incredible speed and swims perfectly in the water. However, its opponent in the battle is extremely powerful and amazing. Gran Maja wins this fight because of his very long and sharp teeth. In this battle, Bloop loses and even gets eaten. Three terrifying and mysterious sea monsters, Bloop, Worm Sea Monster, and the elusive Ningen, are about to face off in one of the most intense underwater battles of all time. Each of them brings their own horrifying strength, strange appearance, and deadly instincts to the battlefield. But only one can dominate the darkest depths of the ocean. Let's start with Ningen, perhaps the strangest of them all. At first glance, Ningen might look harmless, even cute, with its pale white skin and humanoid features. But don't let that fool you. This monster is a true deep-sea nightmare. Its long, flexible arms can strike with deadly force, crushing or grabbing enemies before they have a chance to react. Silent and swift, Ningen is the predator you never see coming, until it's too late. Then there's Bloop, the massive sea beast whose very name sends chills down the spines of marine researchers. With a jaw large enough to swallow sharks whole, Bloop uses brute power to dominate any creature in its path. It has 4 fins for agile movement and a long, wide tail that acts both as a balance mechanism and a weapon. When Bloop swings its tail, it can knock enemies into unconsciousness in a single blow. It even has a blowhole like a whale, allowing it to surface and take in oxygen before diving back into the deep to continue the fight. Now we turn to the Worm Sea Monster, a terrifying predator with a tube-like mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. Worm is fast, so fast that it can zip through the ocean like a torpedo, tearing into its prey before they even know they are under attack. Worm has always wanted a chance to challenge Bloop. The rivalry between them has been brewing for years, but when it comes to Ningen, despite its aggressive nature, Worm fears Ningen deeply. Maybe it's the way Ningen moves, or maybe it's those lifeless haunting eyes. But whatever it is, Worm doesn't want to end up in Ningen's grip. Imagine the setting, a pitch-black ocean trench where sunlight cannot reach. The tension is thick. Suddenly, Bloop emerges from the shadows, releasing a deafening sound wave. Worm darts in from the side looking for an opening, and from the gloom above, Ningen silently descends, arms outstretched, ready to strike. The clash begins. Each monster lashes out with all its might. Bloop uses its tail to slam Worm away, but Worm recovers instantly, spinning around to attack from behind. Just when Bloop turns to defend, Ningen wraps one of its arms around Worm, pulling it into the darkness. The water churns with chaos, bubbles and roars. Who will win? You may have heard the name Bloop before. A massive and terrifying monster, a giant creature that lives in the utter silence of the deep seas, where there is no light and horror begins. Upon first glance, this monster does not seem that powerful, but the disaster starts the moment Bloop senses danger, at which point there is no longer silence. The ocean trembles. Bloop is no sea monster. It's a giant with a vast mouth that swallows thousands of animals in mere seconds. The water bursts like a bomb upon each swish of its tail. It only attacks when there's no other option but to destroy its target, and then nothing can stop its fury. Yet every monster, including Bloop, has an arch nemesis, and that nemesis is the Kraken itself. The Kraken has been the unchallenged master of the seas for years. It has sunk so many ships with never-ending tentacles. Its shadow has been enough to scare sailors into vowing to never sail close to that part of the sea. When these two monsters meet, it's not just a battle. It's a battle royale of the apocalypse. Bloop, with its massive size and flesh and scale armor, arrives at the battle with a jaw powerful enough to snap even a Ningen or Megalodon in half. It does not fear battle. It does not fear pain. Every wound is a badge of honor, for it was bred for war. But Kraken, it strikes in silence, with eyes that glow like embers through the depths of darkness, with tentacles as long as 2 buses wrapping around its prey like snakes. It doesn't battle to win. It hunts to ensure its foe is never seen again. It is akin to comparing 2 gods of rage in the middle of the ocean. Kraken's vicious whips cut through Bloop's body, yet Bloop, jaws strong enough to snap even steel, obliterates any barrier in its way. Speed? Kraken is lighter and faster, yet when Bloop is hungry, it moves with a burst of speed that eradicates everything in its wake. And size? There is no one comparable to Bloop here. It is a moving fortress, approximately 200 to 300 meters long. As opposed to it, Kraken, with its 150 meters at most, seems like a straightforward hunter in comparison to an apocalyptic behemoth. This battle is not about strength and power sheer. Silent rage, strategy, and stamina are in control. And what likely gives this fight an even greater significance than anything else is these creatures' pride, which will be the uncontested ruler of the depths, which will battle to the final drop of blood, not only to survive, but to supreme dominance. You may have heard the name Ningen before, a mysterious and enigmatic creature that dwells in the depths of the ocean. With its long arms and large, piercing eyes, its seemingly calm and harmless appearance might deceive you, but everything changes the moment this creature senses danger. Only then does its true nature reveal itself. Now, imagine this creature facing off against the Bloop. The Bloop, a monstrous being capable of destroying ships in an instant, and the Ningen, a cunning predator with its own unique methods of attack. But if these 2 sea giants were to clash, who would emerge victorious? The Bloops, a name whispered among sailors and deep-sea explorers with a mixture of awe and terror. This massive aquatic horror is unlike anything mankind has ever faced. Its size alone is enough to send chills down the spine. Imagine a creature so vast that it can capsize entire fleets with a mere shift of its massive body. Its gaping mouth, lined with countless razor-sharp teeth, is a death trap for anything unfortunate enough to get caught in its monstrous bite. But its sheer strength isn't its only weapon. The Bloop's tail, long and powerful, is a force of destruction in its own right. The Ningen. The Ningen is a nightmare of a different breed, one of eerie intelligence and cunning. This humanoid beast has disturbingly human-like features, a mouthless face, emotionless eyes that pierce through the darkness, and long, almost skeletal arms that stretch out as if reaching for its next victim. Its pale skin blends seamlessly with the icy waters of the abyss, making it nearly invisible until it's too late. While the Bloop thrives on brute strength, the Ningen has a different advantage. Control. With its elongated arms, it can seize its opponents, restraining them in a vice-like grip, preventing them from using their full power. The idea of something as massive as the Bloop being held down and slowly, methodically devoured is enough to make even the bravest hearts falter. The Ningen doesn't just attack. It ensnares, it constricts, it breaks its prey mentally before consuming it entirely. But can the Ningen truly overpower a force as monstrous as the Bloop? This is where the battle turns unpredictable. While the Ningen might have the ability to hold on to its prey, the sheer mass and thrashing power of the Bloop make it nearly impossible to control. Imagine a creature the size of an island fighting back with all its might. The ocean itself would quake under the struggle. The Bloop's sheer weight and powerful movements would make it a challenge even for the Ningen to keep its grip. And if the Bloop manages to land a single devastating bite, it could tear through the Ningen's fragile, almost ghost-like body. However, the Ningen isn't entirely defenseless. Its ability to adapt and move swiftly through the water gives it an edge. It could evade the Bloop's devastating bites, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Perhaps it will take a different approach. Not a direct battle of strength, but a slow, relentless assault, using its long limbs to weaken the Bloop's, restricting its movements little by little until the monstrous creature can no longer fight back. This battle isn't just a clash of power, it's a war of endurance, strategy, and raw survival instinct. The ocean would churn with the force of their struggle, the waters darkened by the shadows of these behemoths locked in a primal dance of death. But in the end, there can only be one victor. Will it be the Bloop, the relentless titan of the deep, using its sheer might to crush its opponent? Or will the Ningen's ghostly grip prove too much, draining the strength from its prey before finally feasting upon its remains? The answer is uncertain, but one thing is clear. This is a battle that will go down in the darkest legends of the sea.
Look, this shark is completely weird and somewhat adorable. But once he learned that Bloop had eaten his true love, he set out to find and eat Bloop. Even a stranger is that Tralalero Tralala is wearing shoes. Yes, shoes. And yet somehow this makes him a better walker and a better swimmer in the sea. With these sharp teeth of his, this creature is a worthy competitor for Bloop. It all began one day when Bloop ate the shark's girlfriend. You might have heard the name Bloop before, a giant, terrifying sea monster that lives far below the ocean. You'd be surprised as, at first glance, Bloop doesn't appear that powerful or dangerous. But all of that changes when he's under threat. When that happens, he opens his mouth wide and swallows up anything that stands in his way. When Tralalero Tralala found out that his sweetheart had been eaten by a dreadful monster, he was enraged. He slipped on his shoes and went chasing after Bloop. But this was not a job that was going to be easy. In order to reach where Bloop resided, Tralalero had to pass through dark, treacherous routes beneath the sea. On his journey, he came across creatures he did not even know existed. Glowing fish, weird tentacled creatures, and even jellyfish that illuminated the way with sparks from their bodies. In spite of his silly looks, Tralala was very courageous. He smashed through each barrier with his pointed teeth and went ahead. On his way, he once encountered a wise old fish, Master Fang. Master Fang advised him, to beat Bloop, strength alone won't do. You need to have a strong heart as well. Tralala faltered. Was this about revenge then, or was love worth fighting for? He resolved to continue, not for revenge now, but to guard what he really loved. At last, when he arrived at Bloop's gloomy cave, he perceived odd sounds, low, loud breaths emanating from within. Tralala hesitated for a moment, took a deep breath himself, and dashed in with all his might. For the first time, he laid eyes on Bloop. Bloop gazed at him and chuckled. So you also came here to be eaten? But Tralala refused and answered, No, I've come to reclaim what's mine. A fierce battle broke out. The sea shook with their clash. Waves rose and crashed, fish scattered, and shells snapped shut. In the end, Tralala used his speed and cleverness to gain the upper hand over Bloop. He sank those sharp teeth into his tail and sent Bloop running. After that, Tralala was not only a hero, he was a sea legend, the sole shark to wear shoes and battle for love. You may have heard the name Bloop before. A sea monster, enormous in size, but not really all that scary at first sight. You may be thinking it's just another stupid creature, harmless even. But all of that changes when this creature is threatened. That's when you're no longer dealing with an ordinary Bloop. That's when venom comes into the equation. When venom combines with Bloop, what you have now isn't a monster anymore. It's a credible menace to anything moving in the water. A huge mouth, razor-sharp teeth, more developed than anything you've ever encountered. A strong tail capable of killing enemies with a single swipe. This creature doesn't think twice. It doesn't retreat. Now, it is the threat. However, let us discuss Ningen. Ningen is another sea monster, and it's one you've never laid your eyes on before. This monstrosity of a humanoid stands taller than average, with long, thin arms and enormous ghostly eyes. It lives in the deepest, remotest parts of the ocean, and the very fact that it does is terrifying. Ningen is not a predator. It's a hunter. It kills for fun. It takes whatever it desires in those long, deadly arms and swallows it whole. Not something you'd want to encounter. It's fast. It's merciless. And it never misses its target. But here's the catch. Ningen has never seen anything like Venom Bloop. Venom Bloop isn't just some arbitrary monster. It's the transformation of a creature pushed beyond its breaking point. When Bloop merged with Venom, it not only grew more powerful, it became purposeful. It became vengeful. Venom Bloop isn't this giant sea monster anymore. It's a tool. It's constructed for combat in every possible manner. Its large, fleshy tail is not merely for balance. Ningen tries to fight back, but it's slower now. It's injured. It underestimated Venom Bloop. The very same thing it was so proud of, the fact that it could hunt, that it could eat, is its own downfall. Venom Bloop doesn't fight to live. It fights to win. It fights with the intensity of a creature that's been cornered, that's been forced into the role of defender. It doesn't want to fight, but it won't lose. It won't be eaten. What instills Venom Bloop with a sense of real horror is that it has no desire to conquer or rule. It simply wants to defend itself. And anything which threatens that is met swift and ruthless resistance. Its power isn't for show. It's for survival. It's for revenge. This isn't a battle of strength. This is a battle of pride and survival. Venom Bloop is battling for its life, its pride. You back a creature like that into a corner, and it won't just fight back. It'll make the other guy know who's boss around here.